NEC section 555.17 addresses conductor fill requirements specifically for raceways located on docks and marinas, with the primary concern being the prevention of overheating. This section imposes a restriction on the number of current-carrying conductors allowed within a single raceway, particularly when specific conditions are met. It's important to note that this rule applies in addition to the standard raceway fill percentages outlined elsewhere in the NEC. Section 555.17 states that raceways shall not contain more than 4 current-carrying conductors of the same circuit, one of which may be a neutral conductor where all of the following conditions apply. Firstly, the conductors are not larger than 4 American wire gauge. Secondly, the raceway is not a metal enclosure. Thirdly, the raceway is not smaller than 3/4 of an inch electrical non-metallic tubing. And fourthly, the raceway does not contain any conductors larger than 4 American wire gauge. The rationale behind this rule is to mitigate the risk of overheating, which can occur when multiple current-carrying conductors are bundled together within a confined space. In a marine environment, where raceways are often exposed to direct sunlight and elevated ambient temperatures, the potential for overheating is amplified. When conductors carry electrical current, they generate heat as a byproduct of resistance. The amount of heat generated is proportional to the square of the current and the resistance of the conductor. This is described by Joule's law, which states that the power dissipated as heat is equal to current squared times resistance. In a raceway containing multiple current-carrying conductors, the heat generated by each conductor contributes to the overall temperature rise within the raceway. If the heat is not dissipated effectively, the temperature of the conductors and the surrounding insulation can increase significantly. Excessive heat can accelerate the degradation of conductor insulation, leading to premature failure and increasing the risk of electrical faults. Furthermore, elevated temperatures can also affect the performance and lifespan of other components within the raceway, such as connectors and splices. The restriction on the number of conductors in section 555.17 is intended to limit the amount of heat generated within the raceway, thereby reducing the risk of overheating and associated problems. By limiting the number of conductors, the heat generated is distributed over a larger surface area, allowing for more efficient heat dissipation. The size restriction on the conductors, limiting them to a maximum of 4 American wire gauge, is also a factor in preventing overheating. Smaller conductors have a higher resistance per unit length than larger conductors. Consequently, they generate more heat when carrying the same amount of current. By restricting the conductor size, the heat generated is further reduced, minimizing the risk of overheating. The requirement that the raceway be non-metallic is also significant. Metallic raceways, such as steel or aluminum conduit, are good conductors of heat. While this can help to dissipate heat away from the conductors, it can also transfer heat to surrounding structures, potentially creating a fire hazard. Non-metallic raceways, such as electrical non-metallic tubing, are poor conductors of heat. This helps to contain the heat within the raceway, preventing it from being transferred to surrounding structures. However, it also means that the heat must be dissipated through the raceway itself, making it even more important to limit the amount of heat generated in the first place. The minimum size requirement of 3/4 of an inch for electrical non-metallic tubing is also intended to provide adequate space for heat dissipation. A larger raceway has a greater surface area, allowing for more efficient heat transfer to the surrounding environment. The exception to this rule applies to raceways that contain conductors of different circuits, such as a raceway that contains the conductors for a lighting circuit and a receptacle circuit. In this case, the conductors are not considered to be part of the same circuit, even if they are all carrying current. This exception is based on the assumption that the different circuits are not likely to be carrying their full rated current simultaneously. For example, a lighting circuit may only be carrying a fraction of its rated current during daylight hours, while a receptacle circuit may only be carrying its full rated current when an appliance is in use. In this situation, the total amount of heat generated within the raceway is likely to be less than if all of the conductors were part of the same circuit and carrying their full rated current simultaneously. It's important to emphasize that section 555.17 applies specifically to raceways located on docks and marinas. This is because marinas are considered to be particularly harsh environments from an electrical standpoint. They are exposed to moisture, salt spray, and direct sunlight, all of which can accelerate the degradation of electrical equipment. In addition, marinas are often subject to vibration and physical abuse from boats and other equipment. The NEC recognizes these unique challenges and includes specific requirements for electrical installations in marinas to ensure the safety of people and property. Compliance with Section 555.17 is essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems in marinas. Failure to comply with this rule can result in overheating, insulation breakdown, electrical faults, and even fires. It's also important to note that this rule is just one aspect of the overall electrical safety requirements for marinas. Other relevant sections of the NEC include those addressing grounding, bonding, overcurrent protection, and wiring methods. A thorough understanding of these requirements is essential for anyone involved in the design, installation, or maintenance of electrical systems in marinas. In summary, NEC Section 555.17 places specific restrictions on the number of current carrying conductors allowed in raceways on docks in marinas to prevent overheating. This rule applies in addition to standard raceway fill calculations and considers conductor size, raceway type, and the presence of multiple circuits. The key factors are firstly limiting the number of current carrying conductors to 4 if they are part of the same circuit, secondly, ensuring conductors are no larger than 4 American wire gauge, thirdly, using nonmetallic raceways, and fourthly, employing a minimum raceway size of 3/4 of an inch electrical nonmetallic tubing. Remember that these regulations are in place to improve safety and prevent electrical hazards unique to the marine environment.